Welcome to the StoryADay podcast. This is Julie Duffy, encouraging you to be a writer today, not someday.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Julie here from the StoryADay podcast. I am in the midst of getting ready for StoryADay May, and my job here today is to get you riled up and ready for a month of extreme creativity where you're going to push yourself to write more than you think you can, and you're going to push yourself to engage in the community more than you think you want to. And every year I have people who surprise themselves. I have people who write the first drafts of stories that go on to get published during the year. And I have people who just have a blast. So whatever your goal for your writing is, whatever stage you are in right now, there is something for you to get out of StoryADay May, and I'm going to talk today about some ways that you can prepare, get involved for a month of successful writing, which will change your life. I mean, really, if you give a month to your writing, you will learn so much, and it will change at least your writing life, if not your whole life. I hear it from people every year. I hear it from people every week, how much it matters to them that they are writing. And so I was looking through all of the prompts that I have from guest writing prompters. How do I say that? So we have some amazing writers who have taken time to share a writing prompt in hopes of inspiring you to write stories this May. We have a prompt from Roxanne Gay, who is not only an amazing short story writer, she's a commentator, an opinion writer for the New York Times, a best-selling author, and basically a cultural phenomenon. And she's given us an amazingly good prompt, which I'm not going to tell you about yet. You have to stay tuned for that, but I will tell you it's a good one. We also have prompts from people like Disha Filyaw, whose collection, The Secret Lives of Church Ladies, just won the PEN Faulkner Award. We have a prompt from Michael X. Wang, who's just won the PEN Bingham Award. We have a prompt from Matthew Salisis, whose book Craft in the Real World is one side of his writing, the side where he's a professor at a writing program in a college, and his other writing is he's writing novels, and he's written a novel in flash fiction, and so he actually has given us a very in-depth prompt. We have prompts from Fran Wilde and A.T. Greenblatt, who've both recently won Nebula Awards. Who else is on the? Just Rin Chapico. All kinds of people who, from the literary writing world to the science fiction writing world. I have prompts from people who have been doing this challenge for 10 years. And from Wendy Lane Harris, who you'll know from this podcast, and from her Writer's Digest book, Writing and Selling the Short Stories and Personal Essays, which is this wonderful handbook to help you get your stories out into the world. So many of these writers have taken a little bit of time to give us a prompt to inspire us. And I think it's important to acknowledge that these people who are starting to, either starting to or have been having for some time success in their writing life, are not above coming down and hanging out with the proles. Like nobody who gets success as a writer suddenly transforms into a celebrity with tons of confidence. We are all interested in the human condition, and that means that writers tend to be very generous and very encouraging and supportive, and it's I think it's worth remembering when we are in an earlier stage of writing and we feel beset by what we call imposter syndrome, or by the idea that we're not enough, or the idea that we're too much. I think it's important to understand that kind of doesn't ever go away, because writers are so interested in what it means to be human that even when they start to get some success, they don't get stuck up and they're not, they're willing to encourage other people. And you will be this person someday. You will be the person who has publications and books and that other people are asking for advice. So that could start here, right? You just have to sit down and write. You have to get over the idea that you're somehow not enough and that this isn't for you because of some made up reason. Why not you? All you have to do is sit down and write and really believe that your thoughts are important, your voice is important, that the world needs your story. There has been a kind of flowering in the, a delayed flowering in the writing world recently for writers who don't look like the people who were winning awards 60 years ago. We've got so many more books from so many people from different backgrounds, and it's enriching. It's enriching the literary world, it's enriching our lives, and you're part of that. Whoever you are out there, whatever your life experiences are, they matter. There's somebody else like you who needs to hear the things that you have processed through your brain, turned into fictional form, put down on the page, and allowed them to read and experience in a safe way, to know that they can survive it, to know that they're not alone, to feel connected to other people. This is going to be so important as we emerge from our pandemic cocoons. Some people are going to get left behind. They're going to stay in their little cocoons thinking that they're alone. And we can reach them through stories. We can save them through fiction. Your voice matters. Your stories matter. And it's not for you to silence yourself. You don't know who needs you. You don't know who needs your stories. And I'm sorry to get a little heavy on you on a Saturday morning as I record this, but I really want you to understand that you need to kick imposter syndrome to the curb and just write. Luckily for you, I have a month coming up where I'm going to be sending writing prompts out every day. So how do you get involved in StoryADay May? How do you get this month of extreme creativity where you just get up every day with the certainty that you're going to write and then you just let it happen? Okay, there's a few ways you can get involved. The simplest, most basic way to get involved is simply come over to storyaday.org. There will be pop-ups and forms all over that page, but you can go to storyaday.org/sign up. And you can put your name in that box and I will send you every day in May a writing prompt. Sometimes from people like Roxanne Gay, sometimes from me, sometimes from people who are in the StoryADay Superstars community and who've been doing this challenge for 2, 5, 10, 12 years. There are people here who have been here. This is the 12th StoryADay May. There are people here who've been here since the beginning, and I have prompts from some of them. They understand how this works. They understand what it takes to prompt a short story during a challenge like this. The other thing to do is set your own rules. I personally don't tend, and I shouldn't probably admit this, I don't tend to write a story a day in May. I mean, part of it is that I'm running the challenge and there's a lot going on. But even before it got as big as it is, I discovered that I need a day off every week. So my rules for myself during StoryADay May is that I get to take Sunday off. If I write a story on Sunday, great. But, I have a family, I have a spouse, I get to take Sunday off. And I come back renewed on Monday. So you may want to set rules like that. I encourage setting the rules before the challenge starts. And I encourage you actually to take a moment round about day 14, 15 to figure out how it's going and to allow yourself a tweak in your rules. Because there's no point slogging through this if you're hating it. And if you've learned something about your writing, like I discovered I need a day off every week, if you've discovered that, then act on it as soon as possible. Don't torture yourself, okay? So sign up make your rules for yourself and build in an appointment with yourself to assess how it's going and maybe tweak your rules and keep going to the end of the challenge. The thing I don't want is for you to start the challenge in a blaze of glory, miss a day or two, and then be like, well, I've blown it. I should just never come back to this website again. Or I should just delete all these emails. Keep showing up all month. And some days, even if you're not writing a story a day, some days one of the prompts will tweak your interest, or one of the days you'll just have more time, more energy. And if you keep showing up right through the month, right to the end of the challenge, then you will get so much more out of it than if you give up, so to speak. Other things that you can do to prepare for the challenge this coming week. I am running my Writer Code Masterclass. If you are not on the mailing list for that already, come over to the link in the show notes and sign up for the Writer Code Masterclass. What that's going to be is 4 recorded lessons and pep talks and sort of, lessons from me, talking you through the process of becoming a writer. Even more than writing a story a day, the purpose of writing a story a day is to teach you how to become a writer the rest of the year. So the Writer Code is my sort of framework that I hang my writing life on. And I'll introduce you to that framework. One of the lessons in the masterclass, I will actually take you through the short story framework bit by bit and show you how you can make that work for yourself. And I'll talk about a few of the other things that have really made writing become a rich part and valuable part of my life and the life of people in this community. I'll also be talking a lot in the next couple of weeks about the StoryADay Superstars group, which is a way for you to go deeper into your commitment to your writing. This week, the Writer's Digest annual issue came out where they talk about the 101 best. They list the 101 best websites for writers. I am honoured and thrilled that StoryADay is on that list again for, I think, the 5th year. They value what we do here. But the thing is, they don't even know what's going on in the Superstars group. Like the editors of Writer's Digest appreciate what's going on at the website. But this StoryADay Superstars group that we have, this community where people opt in and spend the year together, is so amazing and so transformative. And I am going to be talking to you a lot about that over the next couple of weeks as well, because I'm going to be opening the doors for that community. And I only do that a couple of times a year. I'm going to be opening the doors to that community right before the challenge starts. And I'm going to encourage you to consider that. If you're ready to write more and have more fun while you're doing it, and stop the stop-start cycle of I'm going to write and then, I haven't written for a while, and I'm going to write and I'm going to, I haven't. So that's something I'm going to be talking about a lot. But I do encourage you to sign up for the Writer Code Masterclass. It's going to be these 4 lessons over the space of next week. But if you're on that list where I'm sending you reminders about the Writer Code, I'm going to assume that you're interested in going deeper in your writing. So I'm going to be sending you invitations to come and write with us, with the Superstars. I'm going to open up the Saturday morning writing sprints to the whole community, so you can come and see what it's like to write in a Zoom room with other people. It sounds really weird, but it actually is an amazing tool for making you more productive as a writer. And you'll get to see some of the people who are in the community, and you'll get to ask me questions about the challenge, about writing, all kinds of stuff. There's also, traditionally, as I do the run up to StoryADay, I come up with all kinds of tools, and because I'm just thinking so hard about it, there's always new worksheets that I come up with, or tracking logs, or tricks and tips that I share. So if you make sure that you're signed up for the Writer Code Masterclass, that's my sign that you would also like to get any extras that I come up with, any extra invitations. I might actually do a live class. I haven't quite scheduled that yet. So make sure that you're getting those emails, because support is important. This is it's a big thing to decide to write a story a day. It's a big thing to make a commitment to your writing. And it's really easy to walk away if nobody's watching out for you. I want you inside the community so that we can watch out for you and we can help you do the writing that you should be doing. All right, what else was I going to talk to you about today? Today, I'm also putting a link in the notes here. I did an interview with Emma Dessy recently. It's part of her Be a Bestseller Summit, and today's the day that comes out. So if you want to watch me and another Scottish lady talking about writing, then you can do that by following that link. All right, have I got you sufficiently excited about writing? If you want to write this May, here are some steps I think you should take. No, here are some steps I take, and you're welcome to use any of these, ignore any of these, but here's what I do. This last couple of weeks before May begins, I read a lot of short stories. I've found in the past that if you're reading a lot of short stories, it's almost impossible not to want to write them. And it is important to read short stories if you're trying to write them, because short stories are different from novels. They're different from films. They are their own thing. And if you want to write in a particular form or genre, you should be reading it. But more than just sort of the academic study of it, just immersing yourself in short fiction is exciting. It's like, oh, there's all these possibilities, all these different weird little ways that you can tell stories, and you'll be familiar with so many of them if you commit to reading a story a day between now and StoryADay May. So read tons of short stories. You can find them all over the web. You can pick up an anthology. You can go to the StoryADay website and look for the reading room category of posts. I've been posting reviews of short stories there for years, and they mostly have links to where you can read them either online or what an anthology I found them in, that kind of thing. So if you don't know where to start, that's where to start. I will put a link in the notes again for that category. Another thing that I would encourage you to do during the last couple of weeks before StoryADay begins is to download the StorySparks catchers that I have at the site. If you've signed up for the prompts, if you've gone to that storyaday.org/sign up, you will have been taken to a page which gave you all kinds of downloads. The StorySparks catchers are in there. You can sign up again. If you don't remember where that page was, you can sign up again. You won't get double emails. You'll just get taken back to that page again, I think. If this technology doesn't work that way, then just email me, and I will send you the Sparks catcher. I would carry that around with you and just try and catch StorySparks 3 a day for the next couple of weeks. It's not story ideas, it's just snippets of things that you can use to deepen the experience of the reader while they're reading your story. So, for example, I'm sitting here and I can hear sounds in the background. I don't know if the microphone's picking them up, but I can hear, the radio from the next room. I can hear the birds tweeting outside in the tree. I can hear my neighbour sawing something with a power tool. Catching those kinds of details, because even when somebody's in a room and it's silent, there's a difference between a normal silent room and one that is spookily silent because all of the other noises have finished. So that's the kind of thing that could be a story spark. Just sitting down and writing what you can hear and what it sounds like and the words you might use to describe them could be a story spark. It's not something that's going to actually spark a whole story, but it's going to give you ways to observe the world so that you are walking through it as a writer. So that's one of the things I encourage as well, is to carry around that StorySparks. There's a foldable one. There's they're all foldable because you print them out on paper. But there's just carry them around with you and just write down 3 things every day that you might use in a story. Other things that you can do to warm up is do a little warm-up writing. So grab the short story framework, which if you're on the mailing list, I emailed to you at some point. You can find links to it on the website. And just, it's got all those fill in the blanks, right? So do those brainstorming exercises, brainstorm a few stories that you might write, and then maybe write one. Plan next Saturday. I'll be inviting everybody to come to a writing sprint. It'll be 10 o'clock in the morning, Eastern US time, which is 3 in the afternoon in the UK and 4 in Europe and 7 a.m. in California and like tomorrow afternoon in New Zealand and this evening in Mumbai. So it's a time that sort of works for a lot of people, but not everyone. But anyway, I'll be inviting you to come to writing sprints and just hang out with us. So spend some time this week going through the short story framework, gathering your StorySparks, and plan to be with us next weekend when we'll invite you into a room, we'll sit down and we'll say, okay, let's write. And what happens in the writing sprints is that we chat for a little bit and then we all mute ourselves. And we just sit and write for 25 minutes. And then we take a little break and a little stretch. And, you know, if anyone's got any questions, we chat for 5 minutes. Then we go back in, do another writing sprint for 25 minutes. And it's crazy how effective it is to just be in a room silently working with other people. So I want to invite you to come and join us and do that next weekend. So watch your email. There'll be an invitation. It'll be good. It's one of the most odd things that I've discovered is the power of writing together. So that's what I'm encouraging you to do to warm up for StoryADay May. Make your rules, start collecting StorySparks, read a ton of short stories, and watch your email for an invitation to come along and write with us. Use the short story framework to brainstorm a couple of stories that you might write. Remember, none of this has to be brilliant. That's one of the things about StoryADay May. It frees you up to write sketchy first drafts and to be less precious about your writing. Trying to write a really good story the first time through is a recipe for writer's block. So I'm really looking forward to hanging out with you. I hope that you will sign up for the Writer Code Masterclass coming up next week, link in the notes, because I put a lot of work into building this masterclass, which gives you practical skills and also works on your belief that you can write and that you should be writing. All right, that's enough for this week. I've talked a little bit longer than I intended to. Hopefully some of this was useful. You'll come over to the website, grab all those tools, sign up for all the things, and I'm looking forward to spending some time with you over the next couple of weeks, and hopefully a ton of time with you during May and throughout the rest of the year. I'll be in touch, but now it's time for you to go and do some writing. Thanks for listening. Why not come over to the blog at storyaday.org and check out this week's writing prompts and articles. And in the meantime, have a great creative week and of course, keep writing.